Moshe is faced with the challenge of convincing his nation to join him in turning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and seeking Hashem's judgment and using the Torah as the way of comprehending that judgment. And what is striking is that in order to achieve that, he doesn't achieve that at the outset. Just because he's trying to start intervening between Jews who are fighting with each other and sort of acting like a judge, he's not immediately successful. The way that he succeeds is by being chased away from Mitzrayim and going to a place where he, yes, still has some notion of justice between parties. You know, he's saving the daughters of Yitro, or the daughters of Reuel, from the shepherds. But maybe more important than that, where he's encountering HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a context where there's a priesthood that enables that. There's a kihuna. Reuel, his future father-in-law, is the Kohen of Midian. And Midian is a tribe that has a tradition, perhaps from Avraham Avinu, since Midian was one of the sons of Avraham. And so there's this chance that Moshe is getting to maybe have a healthy encounter with the Kadosh Baruch Hu in a context where there is a kibuna, where there is a priesthood that understands something about how to do that right. And that is the transformative opportunity that's going to allow him to come back to Mitzrayim and be more successful in bringing the people out and bringing them to Torah than he could be previously. He couldn't just go from, well, I'm a prince of Egypt, but now I want to side with my people. Now that I'm siding with my people, I also have to be a judge over them. He couldn't get them to accept his standards or his process of judgment. What he's going to need to do is bring them to Har Sinai, where he encountered HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that they can accept the Torah from Hashem, and then they'll be more so on board with that being the source and standard of judgment. But interestingly, in order to do that, it's a Kohen, it's a priest who facilitates his first encounter with Hashem and his discovery of Har Sinai. And also, when he's going back to Mitzrayim, what is he saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He's saying, I can't speak to these people. I don't know how to speak to them. And the solution that Hashem comes up with is, Aaron, your brother, is coming, right? Aaron, who's going to be Kohen Gadol, who represents, within the context of keeping the Torah for the nation, the priesthood, the kihuna, Aaron is there with Moshe every step of the way. And there are explicit psukim where Hashem is saying to Moshe, basically, I'll speak to you and you talk to Aaron, and Aaron can talk to everyone. There's this sort of game of telephone that's set up where Aaron is described by Hashem as though he's like a prophet for Moshe to speak to Paro. Where Aaron is there in a sense to balance and substitute for the fact that Moshe doesn't understand how he's supposed to do this on his own. And that is really a repeated theme of this whole argument that Moshe has with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, multiple steps saying, but I'm unable to speak well. You know, I don't know how to talk to these people. What am I supposed to do? And there's all these different things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was trying to reassure Moshe. But in the end, the thing that really seals the deal is, Aaron, your brother, is coming, and he'll be happy to see you, so go. So what is the role that Aaron is playing here? I think one thing that we have to consider is that if Moshe is on his own, he's not going to be able to make the sale, right? That if he comes to the people and he just says, I am Moshe, and what I represent is divine revelation of a Torah by which everyone can be judged. And so, yes, now I have a standard that's divine, and it's not coming from me, it's coming from Shamayim, and I'm bringing it to you, and now we can live according to it. So everyone join me, and we'll all go and stand to be judged by our Creator together. it's not clear that that's a compelling enough sale. That that Moshe is not going to be able to, or a compelling enough sales pitch. It's not clear that Moshe is going to actually be able to get the nation on board with that kind of a story. But with Moshe and Aaron together, what does it become? It becomes the people need to come with Moshe. Why? To go serve Hashem in the Midbar, right? Derech Shloshet Yomim. Like they have to go 3 days journey into the desert. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not just saying Shlach et Ami, like set forth my people. He's saying Shlach et Ami v'ya'avduni b'midbar. Send my people so they can serve me in the desert. And the service, the avodah, is not just standing in court to be judged. It's doing the service of the kihuna, the avodah of korbanot and sacrifices for the mishkan, and all of that. And so Aaron is not a minor additional ingredient here. It seems, in a sense, that without Aaron, perhaps we wouldn't have the whole argument for getting the people out of Mitzrayim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants Moshe to make the Paro, because there wouldn't be a kihuna, there wouldn't be a sort of service for the people to perform, a positive mitzvah, a pageant for them to all participate in. But I think we focus usually on that aspect. And what I would add is it might not have been tempting enough for the people either. It might be actually that what the people need is not just to be told, I have a great new set of rules for you, which are things you have to do and things you can't do. And I will have judges, and that will help, they will help to decide, when you've done something wrong or when you've done something correctly. That if you submit that to people and you say, now come on, let's all go, it's not clear how many people are going to jump on board with that. But what a kihuna does is, in a sense, it invites people to a party, right? Because part of what the kihuna is this pageant, this festival experience, this farm-to-table restaurant with singing and incense and gold and all these things that are, beautiful or attractive or alluring or savory or of interest to, let's say, the mob or the crowd. They draw people onward. And that is part of the Torah. That's part of what we're supposed to be doing. And it's perhaps a better way of trying to get everyone together than just starting off by talking to people about judgment. And that's something I think has to be taken, coming back to our discussion of present situation with Am Yisrael, where you say, okay, we have a nation, there's a whole lot of people in Am Yisrael who really believe that studying and keeping the Torah is very important. There's a whole bunch of people who, although they may be descended from people who felt similarly, are not sure that they feel similarly, and they're not sure how much they want to change the way they live their lives. And it's very understandable that no one wants to sign off on having the way that they have been living their life totally upended, and for all these uncertainties to now exist about what will be permitted and what will be forbidden. So even those who are who have very warm feeling for the Torah and the possible positive role it could play in the society of Medinat Yisrael that it doesn't yet play, I think can acknowledge that if you try to push for that in the wrong way, that you will frighten people and you will turn people off and you will create schism in the nation, because you won't be doing it by consensus. You won't be doing it in a way that shows love for the nation as a whole and tries to foster unity. And indeed, might even be doing it democratically, but in the manner of the people of stone, where you say, look, we have a majority, so now we can use the tyranny of the majority to make everyone, quote unquote, do the right thing. But that could actually be an unsuccessful path and also the wrong path. And if I'm looking at the Torah and I'm asking what the Torah might be telling us is in a way that people might find surprising, potentially more successful path, I would say that the role that Aharon plays in bringing the people out of Mitzrayim, and the role that the Kihuna, the priesthood, and the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and the Mikdash, the temple, and the service, the Avodah, and the Korbanot, and the sacrifices, and everything that happens as part of that, the role that all of those play, may not just be window dressing, like details that you kind of would just as soon sweep aside, because of course we know that the point is for Moshe to hand the tablets to everyone so that they have rules and they'll be really happy to have rules. It may be that if you want broad consensus and interest, there's a lot more, let's say, broad appeal to, so to speak, firing up the grill and inviting people to a barbecue where there are pleasant smells and there's music and there's beautiful and colorful things with precious metals and crafts and weaving that people like to do, and all the other things that the Mikdash is. There's a whole lot that's there that has broad appeal, even if people aren't so clear on exactly what the rules are, right? Whereas if you say to people, how would you like rules? The next question is, well, what are the rules? And let me hear each one, and I'll decide which ones I like and which ones I don't like. So where does all this lead? I think the last point along these lines that has to be made is that, of course, when Moshe goes up the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, and he leaves Aaron with the people, and Aaron is there as the master of ceremonies to run the party, and we don't have the Torah yet, or we don't have enough of it because Moshe is absent, we get the golden calf. So I think no one is saying, oh, you know what, let's just forget about the Torah and forget about the rules, and let's just have some kind of priesthood and some kind of party that people want to get together around, and we'll have a festival in Har HaBayit with a lot of grilled meat, and as long as people are enjoying themselves, what does it matter? That's not what anyone's saying here. And clearly there is a very short path going off the rails and turning it into some kind of avodah zarah, some kind of idol worship. And the episode with the golden calf and the centrality of Aharon's role in bringing about that terrible sin by the nation, that's certainly front and center there for us to notice. But I think while we're so aware of the golden calf as a potential pitfall and so aware of Aharon's potential role in that, we have been, for the better part of 2 millennia, in a state where we had no option whatsoever in terms of doing anything involving the priesthood and the Kehunah and the Mikdash and all of these activities that have been in deep freeze. And we've been spending a lot of time thinking about the rest of the Torah and how to keep the parts of it that we can do and studying it really well. And we don't as often talk or think about the pitfalls inherent in trying to get the nation to keep the Torah together without the Kehunah, without the Mikdash, and just trying to convince people to submit to a bunch of rules and seek to be judged by judges who claim to be accountable to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his Torah, without inviting people at the same time to a broadly appealing festival atmosphere. And it may be, in fact, that as long as the sale one's trying to make is, don't you love the Torah? Because we love the Torah and you should too, and we should all just want to really be bound by the Torah, and isn't that the greatest? Maybe we can just force it on everyone with majority rule. That path may not actually have enough traction to work. It may be the wrong way to go. And it may be something that people sometimes miss, because Yahadut has been so much about study of and keeping certain parts of the Torah for so long that we forget the essentiality of other aspects that have been absent. And perhaps we, in addition, fail to notice that those aspects may be essential for peacefully bringing the nation together by consensus into a situation where people are willing to view the Torah as part of a package and part of a whole let's say, or view the sort of rules and judgment part of the Torah as part of a package and part of a system that they already are becoming somewhat familiar with in a way that already has begun to appeal and invite in ways that unify the nation and don't sort of let's say and that they stand for judgment before they are embraced and included.
We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. If you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.